recording the class to the cloud in case anybody else joins. So again, welcome everybody back to our class. The idea of HRM is important. We are going to be going through, and as you have already joined our link and you've seen the details here, I'm starting and showing you the class files for HRM. Here you can get a lot of details from the class file that's been shared with you all. In addition to in week 3, we're in week 3. We have information about week 3. We're going to be reviewing the PPT from last week. We're going to be talking about the chapter on human resource planning. Then we're going to introduce the new PPT, which is talking about recruitment. And today we're talking about the main class topics, and how students are going to be presenting some details today and starting to manage things. As you can see, there's several notes and files. When each of you go through and practice managing the other students, these are some suggestions. There's journal articles, there's PPT already designed, there's notes like this that can give you suggestions on how to do this well. This is the main PPT. This is where we generally left off. Can you guys see my screen? Mr. Jonggon, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Great. And so you see the main part of the PPT is showing you human resource planning. We've gone through quite a bit of this, and we've talked about what is human resources, what is human resource planning, what are some of the information technologies related to it. We've talked about this journal article. How about the next one? What about Mr. Hassan? Do you remember what this article is about? We had an activity in class. We talked about it 2 or 3 times so far. Hiring the right people. Do you remember what this is about? Mr. Hassan, are you there?
Yes, Professor, I know.
I'm just going through a quick review. We're making sure that you're aware of the materials and the main points that we're trying to teach, since at the beginning of the semester it can be chaotic. So we're going to help. What about you, Mr. Jung? Can you help? Do you remember what this article, Hire the Right People, is about? It's actually from a guy from Anheuser-Busch InBev.
Yeah, so sort of those students from the man we will allow to be judged.
I didn't hear you. The microphone was. I can't hear either of you clearly, so I will help you guys. This in this PPT, we also have an article that we're sharing, and I encourage you guys to try to share good articles every week. This article was talking about one of the world's most successful, most respected CEOs. He says his company, which is Anheuser-Busch InBev, one of the world's biggest, most famous companies, they are successful because he hires the right people. And what the moral of the story is, you must know who you are and strive to be the best, because if there's anything less than trying to be the best, you will be, what's the polite way to say shit at best? If you surround yourself with just so-so people, or if you surround yourself, unfortunately, with bad people, you will not be able to develop well. They will pull you down. So you should try to be the best you can be, push yourself to be the best you can be, push yourself to work with the best around you, try to push yourself to do more than normal, and you will get the best results, like almost every major famous company in the world. And that's not just for companies, that's for our class and any organization that requires you working with other people. So that's what we talked about. We went on, we talked about more details like strategy linked HRP and human resource management. We talked about how human resources is like a consulting company. Human resource managers, human resource executives are consultants helping the company mission, vision, plans, dreams match with the company culture, match with everybody's skills, and produce the best possible results. Then we went through a few other slides. Time frames, we talked about how various countries and various companies have different senses of time, and you need to understand what is the company culture, what is the time frame that most companies are focused on and workers are focused on, because cultures can vary related to that. We talked about how HR is an evolving process, and it goes up to the best companies are companies that treat people and human resource planning as important part of their long-term business plan. Not just thinking about it and doing it now, but you incorporate it in your goals and your dreams. And then we showed more details about the planning process. Today, one of the last things we talked about last class, if you remember, was this slide 23. We talked about how skills are crucial. Anybody remember the core concepts of what I talked about with these skills, determining human resource requirements and skills inventory? Mr. Jung, Mr. Hassan?
About how wait,
I can clarify my question. We finished last class talking mostly about this slide, talking about the importance of skills and determining human resource requirements. What are your requirements? What are the requirements of other people around you? How you can communicate them?
oh yes, so is it about like last class we have discussed, I mean, we were separated in groups and we discussed about our different skills that we have. So sorry,
yes.
I'm lost.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Professor,
I
if
mean,
you don't mind.
we always have like different skills that that each person have. So just like interpersonal skills or even PPT skills and like decision-making skills or any other skills that we have. So we have to know what we're really good at, and yes, right, resume or right, yeah.
Yes, great. Ali, Julian, or Hassan, can any of you, would you like to add some details?
So you commented a lot about the human metrics and about the importance of self-assessing ourselves and assessing the others. However, in this kind of environment, in the business environment, and referring to the skills inventory, I guess some companies should focus as well on the other skills that are gathered through education or through work experience. So just like Keon says that what he's able to do, what are his previous experience, previous competencies.
Yes. Okay. So as long as we're comfortable with what we talked about in the past, we can start to move forward. If you have questions, please let me know. The main thing that we talked about is that you must understand human resource is focused on people. People have different skills. You must understand your own self. You must understand your own skills. And one way to do that is by looking at this website, hopefully you guys can see this, humanmetrics.com. This will show you your personality style, your skills style, your entrepreneurial style, how you can work with other people, how you can deal with other people. There's many details related to it, and it even goes into the social aspects, not just about how you work with others in your company or your boss. What is your boss's personality and how you can communicate and manage human resources at work, but even marriage and social details. So I suggested last class, and I'm suggesting again now, I will suggest many times throughout the semester, that you should go through this Human Metrics website and do this personality test, and you will come up with something like this. This is a file that I've made, notes about myself and my family. And what it's showing you here is that there's 16 different Myers-Briggs personality types, and you are usually one specific type. My type is the INTJ type. And not only does it show you what is your character, what is your personality, but what is your learning style, what is your communicating style. And so if we look through it, internet's going kind of slow. This is showing my son, my daughter's style, my wife's style, my style. This says my tests come back and they show I am INTJ most of the time, but I'm also known as ENTJ, which is almost the same thing. Some of the time, it's a very rare style. Less than 2% of the world are these styles. What it's showing in general is that I see many different views and many different possibilities at once. And I like to focus on results, not just social details, which I think is kind of funny because that's pretty much exactly like my personality style. So if we go through it, if you want, I can share more with you, but this is also part of the same human metrics. It will tell you what jobs will match you. And for example, ENFP is one of the personality types, personal types, the career choices. You could be a journalist or reporter or get into psychology, counseling, fitness, nutrition. So there's a bunch of different jobs that might relate to you. Next, learning what are your skills and what are skills of other people around you when you're managing human resources. It doesn't have to be boring and always focused on just academics. This is the same thing. Another link that I can share with you with the Myers-Briggs types. They have said that because it's so famous, people have broken it down and actually associated Harry Potter with it. What is your Patronus based on your Myers-Briggs type indicator? And so my type is not a horse, not a bear, not a phoenix. My type actually is a hyena. And what it says is that the INTJ hyena is always be able to see many different views, and no matter what, I can survive by being able to put plans in place. But if you have a different type, if you are the INTP, you are a raccoon. ENTJ is more of a bear, chimpanzee, etc. And it explains what that means. So we could go through and check various parts of that. Another aspect of this is the casual description of your skills and personality style. And so some people say this ISFJ is called a defender. Other people are maybe more of the antagonist or the attacker. And so there's many different files that explain these details. I'm going to get back and remind you that learning your skills is very important. Anybody have any questions about this? Anybody want to say anything before I jump back into the main points? We have several more students who have joined. Julian, would you like to recap what we just discussed?
First of all, I wanted just to have a shared discussion. So this skills inventory, so it is one to point it into an academic discussion, but I was curious what would be The way of putting it into a company, I mean, companies doing this kind of inventory, what would they add on top of these personality types?
Absolutely, good point. So the job of human resource departments is to manage people. And so step number one, you must understand who are you. Step number two, who is the other person? Inside both of those questions, you must understand your personality, your character, your communication style, your dreams. And so this quiz, the website, humanmetrics.com, will help you identify who you are, and you can go through it. And in HR, one of the big things is the best human resource departments must evaluate other people. And usually they do that before they hire them. When they're hiring them, they evaluate details. Of course, everybody knows they will evaluate if you have a university degree, if you have high marks or if you have low marks, if you have work experience or if you don't have work experience. So all of that is the basic part, but the best human resource departments go beyond that. They will check you for psychological details. What is your psychological profile? What is your stress profile? I have been hired in companies where the interview took place over several months, and they took me out and had dinners with me, lunches with me, introduced with me to other people. They also spilled drinks on me on purpose. They also argued and yelled and screamed at me on purpose because they were checking how I would react. Because I was going to be an executive in the company and I must manage many staff, they wanted to check I'm not going to go crazy with staff, even if the staff are crazy. And more importantly, because I interact with the suppliers and customers and train staff how to work with others, they want to make sure I know how to work with the customers and other partners. So this went through and it not only checked my type and personality types of my references and details of my background, but my personality style. Once you know this, then you can teach people more specifically who they are and how they can communicate with other people. It's easy to communicate with people that are the same as you. If other people have the same personality and skills as you, you're like twins. You can get along no problem, even without words. But most people in the world, especially with human resources, work with people that are from different countries or different values and different characters. Sometimes they might drive you crazy and you're not allowed to say, hey, you son of a bee, or swear and use bad words. You have to be professional and learn how to motivate them using things that motivate them, even if you don't feel they're important. So learning these skills, going through the human metrics type activity will help you manage yourself and others. And that's a big part of our class. We're going to be talking about that. And no matter what the textbook says, I am going to continue to come back and talk about what is your style? What is the other person's style? What is your learning style? What is their learning style? What is your communication style? Some people prefer, like it's easy to understand, extroverts like talking to other people. Introverts still have great brains, but they might not be comfortable talking to many other people. And so they could still be in human resource management or inside the company. How can you communicate if you are an introvert or if the other person is an introvert? So it teaches you those details. So rather than just show a PPT about what this is, I'm showing you the websites that will show you advantages of these skills inventory. And now if we get back to the last thing we talked about, last week, I told you to get into groups and talk about your skills and talk about your introduction to other people. Mr. Anarov, I believe, he was very good and he quickly identified who was in his team and the names of many people, and you talked about something. I don't remember what you talked about, but because you were first, we had the class evaluate you and gave you points for participating and being first and contributing to the class. But then I believe we went in, and I think it was also Mr. Jung Kyung-gon that you introduced your group separately, and you went beyond what Mr. Anarov talked about, and you very quickly identified each group member and what skills they had to contribute to your group projects in our class, which is very important. And so we opened the evaluation up to the rest of the class. And I believe Felix was in that program, and Felix was really generous, and he understood that normally students get 0 points if you don't do anything, a half a point if you contribute or just answer a simple question, or 1 point each week is normal for contributing to the class topic. Hint, hint, I'm inviting all of you to talk now. But Felix went beyond that and identified, I believe it was Jung Kyung-gon, went beyond the activity and excelled in it, introduced everybody's skills, showed how you can work as a human resource manager and be mutually beneficial with many other people. And so Felix and his team nominated Mr. Jung to get about 4 points each. Again, the point of this is I start the course being generous with points. I will give many points at the beginning, but everybody needs to put your hand up, contribute to doing this. Find what are the advantages of your skills, what are the advantages of other people, how you can work forward with human resources, no matter what the other person is that you're dealing with. So next, you need to be able to make a inventory of everybody. Whether it's a specialized or expanded form of skills inventory for an organization's current management team, and even the lower levels inside a company, and identify who is best at negotiating, who is best at calming somebody down, who is best at being a visionary and a planner, who is best at coming up with creative new ideas, who is innovative. So make the inventory of people in your group and leverage that. If you are lacking something in your company or your group, maybe you need to recruit somebody that will complement you. That should be pretty basic, easy to understand. Next, the overall idea of determining additional or net human resource requirements. What does your company need, or what does your group need? What does the class need to be successful? Obviously, I have the North American skill set. I have the PhD skill set in international management. I can teach the topic, but do we need something else? Maybe I need somebody that is more trendy or in touch with what the students' interests are. That's why I am actively recruiting student leaders, and I invite any of you to be a student leader and participate proactively in class. We can help make points for that too. But when you're with companies, sometimes there's somebody that's going to be retiring at the same time as you're hiring somebody new. The idea of transferring information or transferring people from one department to another, it's quite important. I believe last class we talked about how when you're transferring information, or when somebody's retiring or terminated or getting fired and hiring somebody new, it generally takes at least 6 months, sometimes a year and a half, for the company to get back to the main growth level. And that's because when you're getting ready to retire, you're more focused on outside the company and outside your growth of the company, and you're focused on things that won't exactly grow the company. And everybody around you might see that, and people around you might slow down, and that also slows down the company. When you actually stop work, then the company obviously stops work, and that will slow down many people around you and customers. And then other people, when they have to stop their regular work to hire somebody else, that slows down the company also. And the new person, when they come in, even if they're great, it still takes a long time to learn about the company styles. And when they're learning the new styles, that also slows down the company. It keeps going on. It excels and excels. It cascades on top of other things. So the idea of the changes in personnel are very important. You must manage that. You must have an inventory of what you have. What is the backup? What are other factors such as resignations, discharges, if you have to fire somebody, hire somebody working in other countries, etc. Next, today we're talking about adding human resources, and this week we're supposed to be focused on students participating, students managing themselves. Students are supposed to be presenting your work, your activities, your group plans. I am not supposed to be actually speaking that much this week. So as soon as anybody wants to put up your hands, put up your hand. You guys can take over, start getting points for that. You are required to do that this week. We will talk about the human resource planning from last week, PPT. We're going to get into the recruiting human resources, or adding human resources is the PPT for next week. I will start to introduce that today. But again, I will slowly get away from being nice and casual. Every student in class, you should be proactively trying to manage your own human resource activities in class and with others, and you get points for that. So we now have several students in the class. We've gone through the introduction. Several people might have missed some details. I appreciate that we have a big class now today. I saw Felix is, you joined the class relatively early. Felix, would you like to comment or ask questions about anything that we've just covered so far? We've reviewed the chapter 1, chapter 2, week 1, week 2 material. Last PPT, I've started to introduce the concept of the next PPT we're going to talk about.
Maybe I just want to add that I give the point to Human Park. It was not 4, so I think it was 4.8. That's the only thing I have to add, as I don't have a question. So if I remind correct.
Okay, make sure you don't misunderstand. It wasn't the points I'm giving you. I will give you points for participating, but those are the points you were nominating to the other second group that went beyond the requirements. The very first group that talked was the group of Mr. Anarov. He introduced who was in his group, period. But this, and so he got points for being the first one. He got points for being the proactive manager of all of our resources. But the better, more advanced human resources came from the second group, I believe Mr. Zhang. And he introduced not only his group members, but what were their skills and how they can help each other in a mutually beneficial way. And so your 4.8 were the points for that second group participants, right?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
Professor.
Yeah.
Great. Make sure you follow up with that. Don't forget, you should be putting in notes in our Excel file and Facebook, because I will forget about this. I remember perfect details now, but towards the end of the semester, when you want class points, you need to have evidence and proof. Just like if you are in a company HR managers should have a lot of things written down in writing. So great, thank you for that, Felix. Any other questions, comments, or concerns before we jump on to the next point? Do I need to talk about downsizing, firing people? No, we're not going to be laying off anybody from the class or terminating anybody from the class. No early retirement. Maybe there might be some voluntary resignations if you drop the class. But today we're starting to talk about how to hire and recruit more people. I want you to definitely do that. And some of the activities today, and so far we've talked about how you can use information technology to hire new people. You should also be able to do that. You should be able to find out how you can not only get a team member, but how you can possibly hire a professor from another country. I'm doing that for you. How you can recruit and start working with a company executive to help your future. I've started to do that. I encourage everyone in class to do that. But don't contact them until you're really prepared and well researched. and you know your skills and the skills of the other person, so you are attractive to the other person. Next, I also encourage you to work with the online IT and how you might be able to recruit even a person to help you research your class activities or edit your class activities. If your English is not very good, maybe you can hire an editor online from India that speaks English well, and they can edit your paper so you can hand in a paper that is appropriate. Your term paper at the end of the semester must be at an international level. The idea of transferring between departments and work sharing and job sharing, that relates to our class too. You must understand that there's always reclassification of companies, and I am doing that significantly in our class, but you also have a transfer. Normally in Korea, there is one leader in one company managing all details, and everybody underneath them must just be obedient and loyal and just follow what they say. In my style, more of an international human resource class, I'm getting other students to be equal with me, and so I'm transferring some responsibility to you. Please start accepting it to get your points. And work sharing. I've done all of the work. The PPT are created. The textbook is quite clear. I'm assigning it to you to have you manage the presentation to other people, even if you don't like your group partners, even if you don't have perfect alignment with your classmates, you still must get practice managing these other people and share jobs. Even if you're the best. Last week, I remember, Felix, you talked quite well. And Mr. Anarov, you talked quite well. I forget if it was Kim Gun-soo or Jung, Mr. Who are the other, Jung Kyung-gon? I forget which students were quite active, but every one of the students in this class must share in the class details, discuss and contribute to the topic, if not with simple questions, identify some articles that you can use for your weekly topic, articles that other people are going to be mastering in their weekly topic, but you can still help share an article for the weekly topic. And of course, you should find at least one article every week for your term paper, and you can share that in class. So that aspect of job sharing, we're using their class to not only understand the concept of HR, but live it and start doing it.
May I make a comment, please?
Can you put up your hand can you use the blue hand icon so I know who actually is talking?
It's me.
At the side of the screen, you can right click and usually put up something saying your style or your blue hand.
Well, I'm just going to make a yellow hand. Okay, so I want to make a comment if you don't, if you allow me.
Sounds like Julian. Okay, go ahead, Julian.
Yes, it's me.
Yes.
So you are pointing out the fact that every student have to identify some journal or some resource every week in general, okay?
Yes.
Okay, and you suggested that students should put these resources, should share them in the Facebook group as well.
Correct. Thank you. And in the Excel file. You should
And
share it every way you can to be effective.
Okay, by doing this, I mean, especially pointing the Facebook group, so the other students will have access to your resources as well. So they may use some of them referring their work as well. And
absolutely.
Yes, and Professor Watts, it's taking count of this Facebook posts for grading as well. So if you find some article, if you find some resource, just post it into the Facebook group to have to build some activity in there. And by this way, by by sharing these resources, we can make maybe sometimes life easier for some of our colleagues as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. You're definitely using your experience to identify ways to get success faster, leverage success. I hope everybody understands that. In our class, 60% of your mark comes from making a term paper. That term paper will only pass if you have at least 10 good research articles that you are referencing. Most students think it's hard to find a good research paper. So if you have listened to Julian, you don't need to find a new paper. You can just listen to the other classmates sharing their papers and reference one of theirs. If we have an ideal perfect class, every week, every student, or at least every group, should share one article. And if we have 10 different groups in our class, that means 10 groups will present one new article each, and in 1 week, you'll have enough articles to reference for your whole term paper, and you could get 100% marks without even starting yourself. That's why it helps to know what your skills are and the skills of other people. And this week and last week, we focus on planning. So you need to plan how you're going to operate in the company or in our class and work mutually beneficially with others. Thank you for that, Julian. Perfect. Did I hear somebody else have a comment to say? I don't see any other hands up, but okay. Let's go on to the next part. There's a few other things that we will talk about. The idea of defining what are the competencies of people, and the idea of organizational planning. What is the organizational doing now? What is the organization going to do in the future? What are you doing now? What do you want to do in the future? What are the goals of the company? What are the goals of your group? What are your personal goals? It's best if you align these together. So the company goals and your goals overlap. You become synergistic to get better results from it. Focus on the critical details, the critical positions in the company. Who is most important? How can you help that person do the best? If somebody's in your group, and that even if you don't like to talk, but you have a group person that does like to talk, maybe the talker doesn't like to research and you like to research, you can share research, give it to the talker of your group, so the group talker can share it with the class and work together. Same thing with a company. Maybe there's a salesperson about to do something, but if they don't do a lot of research, maybe somebody else in the company can provide something, and HR can not only introduce them to these other researchers, but back up people in case there are problems. So have the critical positions managed wisely, and maybe redundancy or extra hiring. And of course, you need to evaluate people and the certain talent for it. Identify individual development needs. Obviously, the executives are very important. Most big companies in the world, they will have huge HR departments, but it's a lot of people don't see what they do. One of the things they do is they provide training, free training for people. Whether it's free training, getting degrees, getting scholarships, getting access to consulting, getting counseling, getting a mentor in the company, all of that type of individual development is important part of HR management. If you show me what your skills are and what your interests are, I can help you. But if I have a group of more than 40 students in class, I can't do it unless you proactively share with me who you are, so I know how to modify details for you. Next, information systems. We are living in 2020. Not only are we living online, but we are living in a culture of artificial intelligence, machine learning, cameras scanning you no matter where you go. Some of the world's best companies, like Amazon, is making most of their decision not from a person. They're making most of their decisions from a computer that will track details. So the information system will track all of the workers in the company, the workers' qualities, what they're doing in the company, but the customers, what the customers do, what the customers want, what the customers need more help with, what the customers maybe don't need help with. The simple idea of most people go to a store to buy milk or products and then go home, they assume you have somebody working in the store. But Amazon has shown they have stores, just like Lotte has stores in Seoul, where there's no employees working with the customers. You just walk in and your cell phone with the GPS will automatically be tracked by the information systems, show what you're going, what aisles you're going through, what are the products in those aisles for sale. If you slow down in a certain area close to aisles, close to some products, they will be able to identify, maybe help promote some products to you. If you pick up an article, they can track what that product is. And if you walk out of the store with that product, the information system can automatically bill you for it, so you don't need staff. Same thing with HR in companies. Tesla is huge with that. Amazon is huge with that. You must understand how that works. But I've spent quite a lot of time working in many different areas, even in Vietnam, where you would expect a lot of companies or factories to be heavy with people working for low wages. Most Hyundai cars, Kia cars, Mazda cars, Peugeot cars are made now in Vietnam. And that factory that makes those Korean products do not have many workers. Most of it is done by information systems and technologies. So learn about it and how it works together. Of course, the actual databases are quite important. We'll talk about that later. The idea of human resource systems, information systems, there's many advantages and disadvantages. Advantages obviously talk about speeding and accuracy, cannot be matched by manual systems. Computers are much, much faster. And the computer system gets rid of the paper files. So we save the environment, we save the trees. And it reduces problems inside the company. But also the information systems, the new software packages are sometimes much more user-friendly than the old style that I grew up with, which was really complicated. So new styles are getting better all the time. But the disadvantages are, for example, it costs. You have to pay more to get these technologies sometimes. And learning to use them takes a lot of time. The labor to use these information systems can be quite complicated. It may require implementing several systems for it. Sometimes you may need to have certain training for those things. So there's good points and bad points for it. One thing that we haven't talked about here that I wish some of our students were a little bit more proactive with, put your hand up and share, is the whole idea of how you can hire somebody on the other side of the planet to work with you. And how can you do that? What are the systems that can do that? What's good about it? What's bad about it? Before today is finished, I want somebody, let's say, Olugbek Manonov. Can you hear me okay? Mr. You can hear me?
Yes.
Great. So you have a job to do today. Your job is before class finishes, you must make sure somebody talks about how you can hire somebody in the other side of the world to help you do your work. And how can you hire other people? For example, in our class, how you can hire somebody to do class work. That's it. You don't need to talk now, just before class finishes, make sure somebody talks about advantages, disadvantages of hiring people maybe online to work together. Is that clear? Understood?
Yes, I got it.
Great. So you've been hired. There's applications of these type of things. Like I just applied like a clerical, I just gave a job to somebody. There's other people that need to deal with the searching for staff and the fees for that. There's risk management. As soon as you start opening your system up to outsiders, outsiders can see what your company is doing. I've worked for some of, I know there's a lot of very valuable companies like IBM and Samsung and Applied Materials. I know for a fact especially consulting companies, absolutely for a fact, if you want to get into consulting companies, they almost always interview other people. And they're not just interviewing these people to hire them. They're interviewing them to get their information. So they will hire somebody that's really good inside a competing company and bring the competitor executive into your company and ask them, okay, so what do you know about the industry? What are some good things, bad things? What's developing now? On purpose to hear what the other company is developing. Or what are some problems they've had that we also have? And what is a benchmarking solution we can learn from? So they will interview other people just to learn their secrets and grow from that. I'm not saying it's ethical. I'm not saying all companies do it, but I know for a fact that many companies do that. And so the training, obviously the training management, that's pretty clear, pretty important. The training experiences, you want people to be able to help others, not just work all by yourself. So mentorship would be good. I am here to help you. Anytime you have a question, I can help you. Julian is also here. Ali is also here to help you. We have class leaders that we can give points to, and you can help the other students learn how to participate more in class. So that training aspect and experiences is good. Did I hear? I don't see anybody putting your hand up yet. I heard somebody talk, but oops. That idea, oops, where'd it go? Went a little bit too fast. Anyway, the idea we're developing people and the company and the class and your group all at the same time. So make sure how things overlap that way, especially with succession planning. If I get hit by a bus, who's going to be able to keep teaching? If we're just talking about the class, then our university knows what we're teaching. The university has copied my notes. The information with the Google files is there. Information is slowly being transferred over to the CRT. So if we have to replace me, that is planned for our organization or a company or a group or a class. Same thing for big companies. What are the critical positions and the talent that you need to be able to help with that? The idea of the databases, we've already talked about this concept and the advantages, succession planning. Next, applications for the information system for human resources. The idea of being compliant. For example, if you realize one of the biggest companies in the world is Walmart. Walmart will only sell your products around the world if you have 3 years of experience selling that product and you have a bunch of references that can show you can reliably provide that product for a long time. So you need to show that you are in compliance with requirements of Walmart to work with them, just to be a supplier or to even apply to be a supplier. Same thing for many companies. There are safety standards, there's health standards, there's immigration standards, there's tax standards, health and welfare standards. The idea of accident reporting and strategic planning. I don't expect we're going to have too many accidents in class, but I am required to identify if somebody, everybody should have their cameras on if you want their class points. And one of the reasons the university sets that system up is I'm supposed to identify if I see somebody that might have coronavirus. If I see somebody coughing a lot or sick or appearing to have problems, I'm supposed to identify that to the university. I'm not focused on that at all, but that's just one of the concepts of HR management sometimes that you might not see as an outsider. Next, the idea of HR and the internet. Know that the real value of the internet to HR people is the information that it makes available. You can learn what your competitors are doing. You can learn what other individuals are doing. You can develop yourself to better compete with them. You can identify, most importantly, what your customer is doing and thinking. One of the reasons why Tesla is so valuable, one of the reasons why Amazon is so valuable is they live, a huge part of their business is sucking information out of the internet, sucking information out of customers. Tesla records everything the drivers inside the cars do. Amazon records everything the customers do, and they modify their business for that. Some people say soon in the future, Tesla may give cars away for free. Why? Because the car is just a tool to get customer information, and they can control and make profit off of the information of intelligent driving and transportation. That's just one concept. Make sure you identify the usage of it. I'm going to make a small little activity here. Is there anybody in class that wants points for telling the class what is the concept of Cambridge Analytica and the connection to Facebook or Donald Trump? Same question using different words. What is the movie called The Great Hack about? It's the same thing, same question. Next question, same topic, different words. How can controlling information lead to success, even in something as simple as Facebook? Those are three different questions. They're all the identical meaning, identical purpose. Can anyone in class talk about those? The Great Hack, Cambridge Analytica. Facebook was fined $5 billion related to information.
I think it was from the last election, from was it 3 or 4 years ago, because like this year is election, so it must be 4 years ago.
Correct.
And I think they shared too much information about their customer, as a Facebook shared too much information. So no, they didn't share too much information. They make like advertisement that's wrong, like for fake news. Something that was it, or is it fake news, or they said like data what wasn't allowed, something like that?
Yes, you're correct. It is something like that. You're correct that way. Let me just get back to the main file that we were talking about. So yes, what I was talking about is online information in Facebook is, it's not hard to see Felix's details in Facebook. It's not hard to see almost anybody's details in Facebook. And some companies that understand computers and information, especially one company called Cambridge Analytica, they saw that they can get into Facebook easily. They can scan and save all of the information about almost all Facebook users, and then they can analyze that with computer technology to find out what is each person in Facebook thinking and doing. What do they like? What do they share? And depending on Cambridge Analytica's customer, Donald Trump was a customer of Cambridge Analytica. He paid them to convince people to vote for Donald Trump in the last election. So Cambridge Analytica saw many people. Kim, Minsu, you have your hand up. Would you be able to add information to this, Kim Minsu?
Sorry, no, I was going to answer the questions about the Cambridge Analytica and with the relation with Trump, which was already mentioned by you and Felix, that it was a case that happened years ago that Facebook, they illegally were sharing the data of their users and so it was used by the Cambridge Analytica for the campaign of Trump, and based on that data, they had specific campaigns, propaganda for specific people, like white people or the neighborhood, depending on the what was it, on the documents, on the data that they received, which was And the owner of Facebook, he also went on trial, right, regarding the leak of the personal data of the users, which was
He went on trial and he was fined for his participation. Does anybody know how much he was fined just for having the information accessible to outside companies and outside people? It sounds like you're researching. I'll save you time. Cambridge Analytica. Julian, did you want to say something?
Yes, but after you finish with this.
Okay. So Cambridge Analytica was able to basically hack in, get information from Facebook, and it was a coincidence that some people in Facebook also shared the Facebook information. And because of that, Facebook was fined, I believe, $5 billion with a B, just because of the importance of managing information about their staff, managing information about their customers. Again, obviously, that's human resource information management. It's very, very important. It's so important. Many people say Donald Trump is not qualified to be president, but he just bought Cambridge Analytica's services and human resource management of all possible voters to convince them with fake advertising to make him be president. And I'm not saying it's true or not, but I am saying that it's true enough that Facebook had to pay $5 billion and Cambridge Analytica was dissolved, it disappeared, and now it's popping up as different companies. So yes, thank you. I think it was Minzu Kim, whoever was just talking. It is incredibly important to know those details. But it's not just outside internet, it's intranets, the same thing inside companies and with web portals. Make sure you're aware of those details. We are almost getting close to the end. This is bringing us forward to the concept of what is Web 2.0, what's Web 4.0. The idea we're moving towards how information systems can teach themselves, learn themselves, grow themselves now with machine learning. That idea of cloud computing, again, information online. What is SSAS? What is PAAS? What is all of this other information systems that you can use together? We can explain that, but before we finish, Julian, you said that you had another point. Did you want to talk about that now? Before we talk from Marissa? Julian, go ahead.
It was related to Cambridge Analytica as well. And by searching a little bit, it came out that with all their effort, Cambridge Analytica would barely maybe influence 1% of the people. So
whoa, I disagree with that.
No, it's just a comment that I've read on some other articles. So they said that more or less maybe their influence was maybe up to 1%. And then some people questioned why that much trouble and discussion for this 1%. However, if we check this big scandal were related to Trump's elections and to Brexit campaign, and both of them were won with less than 1% of influence. So it seems that when elections, so when decisions are so tight, so close, even this 1% is making a big difference. This is one thing, and I will wait for your comment. Second, as relates to this kind of technology, so I was involved in international sales for some years, and for all this, for the people working in this industry, it was imperative to find leads and to find people or to be able to check on their connections on the other side of the world. And Facebook, Skype, and WhatsApp, there were three great resources to get some information about somebody, because you could copy paste either the email address or the phone number in these platforms, and you would have quite enough information just to make a first idea about who are you talking about. In the later years, they just cut off these options. So Cambridge Analytica was taking some data, but they were also getting maybe some spider programs to get this kind of information. Okay, so now it's our turn about the 1%.
I will jump into Marissa. Marissa, you have your hand up also. Do you have a comment related to that?
Not related to that, but I had a small question regarding your last PowerPoint slide regarding the Web 2.0. And because in the book it says like it's talking only about Web 2.0, and it's from 2016. So my question is, why is it not talking about 3.0 or 4.0 at all?
I am. If you see my slides,
Yes,
I
yes, I
see
know,
that
but
the
like the
book
book, yeah.
Yeah. And so I have definitely updated our class files so that we know it's not just Web 2.0 and 3.0, which is kind of old, and it's not just Web 3.0, but we are living in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, and Web 4.0 is more important now. And it's incredibly important to understand that. Are you very well aware of these details, Marissa? Would you like to try to contribute to the class and explain some of these before I jump in?
No, I just wanted to point out that it's like super important to know about 3.0 and 4.0, especially because it's not mentioned in the book. So I just wanted to point out that we talk about it as well. But I know that you're already doing it. I just wanted to give a quick comment on that as well.
Okay, thanks. So I have put up slides identifying what is the difference in Web 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so the first idea is the first web was just the web that anybody can put up anything they want, but it's not really connected to others. And then we got into webs that were able to connect with other people. And that's the social web also. It collaborates with other people. It's slowly starting to learn from others. We got up to Web 3.0, which is talking about the semantic web and personalized web learning. So this concept about many details are mentioned there, but the simple idea of web learning has grown exponentially with new computer technologies now. There are new technologies like cars that are using technologies to drive by themselves. Those technologies have been around for at least 10, 15, 20 years. But they're starting to get so good that cars can drive around quite easily now. And the same thing for the overall artificial intelligence, web learning. Computers can learn on their own and develop things for potential customers. With machine learning, artificial intelligence, it's revolutionary. Some of the world's most valuable companies used to be called SAP and Oracle. They were specialized in information systems for companies. They used to generally be about $3 million for one program. Even the discount programs I gave to churches and schools would be at least $500,000 to $1 million. Those companies controlled all information from all of their customers, all information related to all of their staff, all information related to all of their products and services, all information related to all of their customers and suppliers. They were so powerful that it got crazy. It's some of the most powerful companies in the world now, Oracle, for example. But I know some of these people, and some of these people got out of that because it's got so well developed that now it's free. For example, Cambridge Analytica is based off of basically free programs. Social media analytics, Facebook Insights programs are free. So you can see anybody that checks your web, what are they interested in, how long they stay there for. That's all automatically done and it's free. Anybody can do it. The concept of how companies can design computers to check, when does your staff start working? When do they come to work? How often do they do things at work? What kind of results do they have? How often do they interact with customers or students? Even the schools are seeing that. So you must understand, it's very, very important. And Cambridge Analytica controlled this information so well that it wasn't just Donald Trump that was a customer that paid for them to find people that were on the internet in the United States, and they were not very aggressively voting for one way or the other. They weren't decided. So Cambridge Analytica could make fake ads and send it in front of those people to make them identify, like human metrics, what is that potential voter's interest, and then say something that that person is going to like in a way that would make them vote for Donald Trump, regardless of what Donald Trump thinks or feels or what he's doing. They're just doing advertising, marketing. And because Facebook allowed this type of material to be done, it's so important that Facebook had to pay $5 billion for connection related to that. And Cambridge Analytica was closed because of this. But the technologies are all controlled by individual people, and those people are still out there and they're still doing the same types of things. Learn how it impacts you. I don't want to get too excited. I'm very excited. I'd love to talk about this stuff with you guys if you have questions. Felix, I see you have another question. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say that the artificial intelligence is like more industry 4 or 4.0, and the new one is like 5.0. That was what you're talking about. That's the combination of AI with human and robotics, so like collaborative robots, something like that. And it already started, like I think from Farnok from Japan, I think they are. They built the first one, like the first robot without security fence that like a worker can work with him directly with hand in hand.
Great. Are you aware of specific applications connected to HR management?
To HR management.
Yes.
That like you have to combine the AI with the human. So not only making the human the data, so like you have to make the AI more human and combine it with the human, so you don't have to let the AI making the decision, so you have always a human part in that. I think that's very important also for HRM.
Okay, good. Thank you, yes. I hope everybody learns a lot about that. Hopefully there's going to be many term papers written about that. Your future very largely depends on it. So many jobs are closing because the information systems are so advanced, they don't need the workers. You realize that a lot of truckers and transportation jobs have disappeared and they've been taken by information systems. And the idea of even bank tellers or waitresses in companies and restaurants, they are being replaced by kiosks. Some of you may have been to a McDonald's or a restaurant, and you see that they still have the person standing at the front, ready to take your money, ready to take your order, but you can order through your phone or online or at a computer terminal at the front of the store, where you don't even need that waitress or waiter anymore. Those jobs are quickly getting replaced by information systems. So make sure you know them. Yes. What else? So let's get back down to I'm not going to jump into too much about software as a service or the idea of platforms as a service or the idea of infrastructure as a service. You need to know those details. I'm not going to just define them here. What I want to jump into before we finish class is the concept of how we can work intelligently, not just with technology, but in our class. So every normal worker in our class knows that you have to do a class paper, and usually you just write it when it's required, you submit it, you get a grade, you're done. But that's not exactly the smartest way to work. If you write the paper for a company, you get much more results because you're connected to the company. Maybe you have a job. If you write those results in your resume or publish them, you also will continue to get benefits. If you understand completely separate companies, how they have to give money away, and how you may be able to get a grant, you can use that to get paid to hire experts to help you do your classwork to help a dream company. Those types of things are built into our class. They're definitely not in the textbook. They're definitely not normal in Korean classes or operations, but I want to just expose you to that. And that's why this week our focus is on students contributing, managing your own details and your human resource details, and starting by introducing your activities in class. Is there anybody here that would like to start talking about what you will do in a group, or ask a question about how to find articles? Oops. So what this is showing, some students have actually, some students have asked me how to find articles, because you have to have 10 articles to put in your research term paper, a minimum. And you must understand you can get many points by focusing on 1 week's topic, and you can manage that by presenting PPT or sharing an article. And you can get weekly points for just contributing to any class at any time by sharing an article. So how can you find them? And this is showing, you guys can still see my screen, hopefully, the journal called Cross-Cultural and Strategic Management. You can go in and find this. Here's a, oops, all of these things are getting closed. Here is an article talking about power distance in India and how almost all papers are created in the same way. It's not loading the details. Oh, here it is. So this is an example of a reliable, respected paper. Almost all papers should be following a normal social sciences format with an abstract, with some keywords, with an introduction. This one has introduction and background literature combined. Then you talk about the idea of how you're doing your research. Maybe during week 7, week 8, you're going to survey companies or survey customers and get some survey results. Talk about that in your methodology and your data collection details. Then you talk about your results, what you've actually found, and then your results and your conclusion. And as we go through that, at the end of the paper, everybody must have at least 10 respected journal articles referenced. This one shows the references at the bottom. Here we go slowly. Here it is. Here's the reference section. Here is the university website showing how you can log in to the idea of the web.b.d. Basically, it's the Edwards system, the library access. You go in, you start searching for a journal here, and it will show you the journal. You can click on the journal, and usually each journal will have many stories, but one story, if you're outside of our university, usually you have to pay $30 to $50 to read this story, $30 to pay and read this story, $30 for this story, this story. Each one you have to pay unless you are a good university student and the university pays for you. So our university will pay for that for you, and you can go through it and find good journals and get this information and share this and use this in your term project. So some students have asked me about this. I am showing you here the idea of what are good journals. This is a good journal. The Academy of Management Perspectives is a great journal. What this is showing is the Scopus website, which is an association of thousands and thousands of journals, hundreds of thousands of journals, and which are the most respected. In here, this is identified the best journals for business management and accounting, or specifically for business and international management. The best journal in the world, according to them, is the Academy of Management Annals. Next, we have number 2, Academy of Management Journal, both by the same association, so it's very respected. You should know Academy of Management. There's many in here, so I've identified journals that relate to human resource management or overall management and classes, and shared these things with you. if you are a very good student, you should realize in this Excel file, under the frequently asked questions tab, at the back here, the FAQ, I have at the bottom identified what are some good articles that you can use, or how can you find articles, how to find Scopus, reliable journal articles for your term project, weekly topic, or regular contributions. And so you can go through here to find this information. Every one of these things you can, after you sign into the library website, then you can click on these things and it will show you these journals, flip through and identify good articles that interest you, and that could be your term paper focus, and it could be your weekly topic focus. And any article you find related to the class can be discussed in the week, and you get points for that. So hopefully that's clear to you guys. We have finished the PPT for week 2 and chapter 5. We're now focused on students participating your results. But since I don't see too many hands up yet, Julian has a hand up. Go ahead, Julian.
So we have some students that have prepared some research teams to present. So maybe we listen to them and then we return to the slide.
Perfect. Whoever is ready, please put your hand up so we can record you. Julian, do you want to, or Ali, can you say the names of the groups that have information ready? So
as far as I know, it's the group from Felix and Marisa, and it's also Kyung Jong Young with Hamin Park and so I will let them actually come. Who wants the first?
Professor?
Yes, Minsu Kim.
I raised my hand. Me and my team, we are ready to present for about the proposal and our, what we prepare for today.
Great. Go ahead, start.
We actually prepared a PPT file.
May we ask who is your team, just to present?
My team, it's me, Felix, and Marisa.
So Minsu Kim, you are now co-host. You can share your PPT from your screen.
Okay, I will share the screen. Just this. Oh, okay. I'm gonna continue.
Julian, while she's getting ready, did you have something else to contribute?
Oh no, it's because the file was not appearing. Is everyone able to see my screen right now?
Yes, I can. Samsung.
Yes.
Yes.
Felix,
Yes, I can see it.
Sorry. I was wondering if Felix and Marisa are also ready to present right now.
Yes.
Yes.
So let me turn on the camera. It would be better for the presentation. So hi everyone. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Minsu Kim. Now I will start the presentation for the proposal of our group. We're going to briefly give a overview regarding our members, then talk about the research topic and the reasons why we chose this topic, and mention about the Scopus article that we found regarding the topic of our research. So to start with our members, so Felix, he is majoring in industrial engineering. He is skilled, he's able to design and develop new technical components of automotive and medical, also robot programming. He's able to coordinate complex projects, supervising and directing staff, working effectively in a teamwork. He's able to speak 3 different languages, which is German, English, and Italian. Next, Marisa, she's majoring in economics and business administration. Her skills are, she has strong presentation skills, recruiting, and she's representing her home university here in Keimyung University. For the analytical skills, she has some cognitive and qualitative analysis. she has skills regarding the MC. She's able to use the MS Office programs, and she's able to speak 5 different languages with Spanish, German, English, Spanish, and French. And about myself, my name is Mingsu, and I'm double majoring in international relations and international business here in Keimyang University. I believe that my personal skills kind of includes having leadership skills, organizational skills, and I'm real observant and detailed when I'm working. And I'm also able to use MS Office programs, Microsoft PowerPoint, and some other programs. And I'm also able to speak 3 different languages. I can speak fluently Portuguese and English and Korean. And I understand a little bit of basic Spanish.
Yeah, I'll tell you now a little bit our research topic. We want to do a competence failure benchmark study for Samsung. And for that, we want to focus on other industry compensation structures. So how other industries handle their compensation. Then we want to show maybe a best practice, then the current gold standard. Also, we want to analyze if there's like transferable systems. So like it's transferable to our or for Samsung. And also like adaptable systems, like if they also adaptable or scalable, like upscaling or downscaling. And also if it's not transferable, why, and also then why it doesn't work and or lesson learned for the adaptable systems or transferable systems, and also how and where we would recruit and attract the best talents.
Yeah, also to mention is that we want to focus our term project on Samsung. So we will try to work together with them on that project. And then why did we choose this topic? For us, like, it's very interesting because it's a very broad topic that influences the company structure like in a high manner. And it's very complex.
Excuse me, Melissa, I can't really hear you with the piano or the music in the background.
Oh. Okay. I don't know. Is it better now?
No, I can still hear you.
Okay, 1 second.
Maybe Felix or Minsu, would you be able to help explain some of the details or continue? And we can come back to Marissa in a bit.
I think she's fixing the program right now. Oh, should
I have muted her because it's getting noisy and many people might not be able to hear very well.
Okay.
So if you guys can continue for a little bit, maybe we can come back to her a little bit later.
Okay, wait, Marissa, Marissa, we can hear you. You're muted right now.
I have muted her because she's kind of too noisy and microphone's not working. So Felix, will you be able to continue some of the details?
Yes, I just got into Felix Zoom call, so I can just continue from Felix.
Okay.
So we just wanted to add that it's like a very broad topic that influences a company structure on a very high level, like in a very high manner. And it's very complex in different companies, like it varies a lot. And it also gives a competitive advantage if it works very good, if the system is very complex and very figured out. So it's very interesting to deal with it in a company actually. And we found some interesting articles about that. The first that we found was a focus on Samsung Electronics, so very specific, and it's dealing with human resource management and Korea's shareable enterprise, a case study of Samsung Electronics, and it's basically dealing with the characteristics of HRM in the context of Samsung being one of the biggest family owned businesses in Korea after 1997, and why the system should be changed in the future and how it has been changed in the past and the pros and cons of that. So it's very interesting for us. And the second one is more general, like it's a general benchmarking study by Berthnall and Wellens, and it's focused on identifying, determining, and analyzing the reasons for turnovers and how it affects the general outcome for organizations. So we can really match this together and first figuring out the whole background and then focusing on Samsung in the like afterwards.
Okay, what you're talking about so far sounds amazing. Obviously, you have approval to continue. I didn't hear about the weekly topic you're going to be talking about yet. So that is one area you guys can develop. Another thing is the references. Thank you for showing the references. That's my next comment. On the second, you just ended it though. The references that you showed online were not really they didn't show details of what year when you gave the presentation. So Samsung's compensation is what that's one thing that you are talking about, but you actually didn't say that. In your wording, you used salary. So you were, your title was talking about Samsung's salary. And I want to help you understand that salary is just one of many, many components inside overall packages for employees or compensation packages. For example, the easiest thing to understand is many CEOs will work for $1 salary, but they still get millions, or like Elon Musk, billions of dollars in compensation in a total package. So make sure you distinguish the words between salary and compensation. Make sure you understand there's many different aspects of it, and also clarify those details with your references when you are talking. If you identify the other person said this or the reference said this and the year they said it, you look much more professional. You can't be attacked as easily as if you say it yourself. So that's good. Your information also from 2001, obviously it's 20 years old. 2012, it's 8 years old. By saying those things, it helps protect you, especially when you know these executives in our class, it's their job today to make the compensation systems in many countries around the world. So they will have newer information for you. So that would be good. Julian, you had a question or comment?
No, I'm fine for now. So if you want, we can skip to the next theme.
Great. Thank you very much. Before we finish, Felix, Marissa, and Minsu Kim, please make sure that you clarify which weekly topic you're going to be doing and present that information fairly soon by the Excel file or with the forms that Ali has handed out. So thank you for that. Let's go. Who's the...
We thought today was only about the proposal for the research paper. As the weekly topic, we chose topic number 6, the performance management system, which would be on the first week of November. And we thought the deadline would be on the 1 week before the actual presentation. So
the deadline for registering your topic for both the project and the weekly activity is around now, week 3.
so we already sent the form on the same day. Received it, yeah.
Good. So we have that stuff. I'm just saying for all students, this information should be shared now. And you're right. Thank you. You must submit or share your articles or your PPT with the whole class minimum 1 week in advance of when you participate. So thanks. Who's the next group that's going to participate, Ali or Julian? Julian?
One moment, one clarification. So you have to share everything except the quiz questions. That the quiz questions will be shared only with the teaching team. So we will prepare together the quiz. Okay?
Yes. Which was the other group, Julian or Ali?
So I think Mr. Kim Jong-un said something.
Yes, Professor. But I'm quite we have prepared some, but I'm quite worried about that we do not have any presentations that
No
we
problem.
had.
You don't need a PowerPoint presentation. That's very impressive of Minsuke and the team. Go ahead. You can just start talking.
I mean, I thought it was just a proposal. So we have discussed about our skills, that I have interpersonal skills and decision-making skill, and Ju-Young Lee has computer skills, that he also has a certification of the most master, and he has ability to willingness to learn. He loves to learn. And Hamin has positive attitude on everything, and he's a great player of the time management. And for the topic, we have decided to do the analysis of Pepsi's turnover rate. I mean, the employee turnover rate, because the reason why we chose the topic is because I believe that turnover rate is the most fundamental but very important issue these days. Not only these days, but since before. And because in HRM department, it is very annoying problem somehow, because when one person leaves the company, then the HR department have to find another substitute for him, and then that consumes a lot of time, money, and yes. And so I mean, and when one person leaves, finding a substitute, the time is already wasting the profit. That's what we believed. So in making profit, that will be negative effects. So we decided to work on Pepsi's turnover rate. However, we're having hard time to find the article, and I uploaded the article in the Excel file already, Professor.
Okay. Thank you very much. I heard Kyunggon Jung, and I think it was 2 or 3 other people you introduced. I'm not. I didn't hear clearly who were your teammates, but I think Julian or Ali have the file that you've already submitted. So Julian and Ali, did you get the names of the other team members? Okay.
It's Ju-Yeon Lee and Hamin Park.
So you have the information. Great. Before I talk about what I can offer for suggestions, I want to invite somebody else in class to get some participation points, human resource management wise, and give some comments on these first 2 group presentations. Do you have any suggestions? What do you find interesting? Do you have any suggestions for what are some things they can consider? Or can you introduce them to somebody in Samsung? Can you introduce them to somebody in Pepsi? I've shocked some people in the past by some students had family members in companies and could introduce other students. Or of course, do you have some suggestions just to improve what you're talking about or what you're focused on? Or the wording usage, like the first team talked about salary versus compensation. Any other comments from any other students? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Sold. Okay, my turn to comment. Mr. Jung, you have talked about Pepsi, but I didn't hear Pepsi in which country, in which area or which division are you going to be focusing on? There is a good chance that Pepsi's turnover in Korea will be different than Pepsi's turnover in China or Vietnam or North America, for example.
That's absolutely
same thing with the first group. Learning to students are new to these details, and me being an old man with a gray beard, I know that there can be big differences with how you say things. Just talking about Pepsi versus the specifics, it would be a big difference. I may be able to introduce you to people once you specify those things. So please make sure your overall project or your weekly project is very clear.
okay.
You have said that you find it difficult to find an article. Would you like me to go over how you can find an article together now?
No, I just learned now from this session. So maybe we will try tomorrow of finding new articles. Yes.
Okay. Thanks. The idea, oh, you are also, I'd like to, is it possible to be on Zoom video recording and go offline, off record at the same time? Some of you, especially the first two groups, you're talking about very sensitive issues, compensation. Some people might be very excited to see this information. Other people might get angry or pissed off if you talk about some of this information. So be careful how you phrase what you say. Whatever your interest is, what you start showing to the world will be viewed by other people that will impact you. And you must think, how are the other people going to see what you say and write? For example, if you say Samsung's competition or compensation is only 50% of company XYZ, do you realize Samsung could make you go to jail for 7 years in Korea? Just because you said their compensation is not as good as somebody else's, or you harmed their image? So be aware of, when you research, become an expert, of course, but also understand how other people use this, see this information, leverage this information, work with this information. Same thing when you're talking with Pepsi. In North America, it's very popular for everybody to talk about how Pepsi competes with Coke and one is better than the other. But in Korea, again, you could be fined thousands of dollars and go to jail for many years by simply saying one company is better than the other. There are laws related to that. And so if you start saying one company has people that are quitting all the time, or one company's hiring people all the time, I love that topic, but be careful how you make the company look. If you want to get a job with a company, don't make the job director angry, make them happy. Is that clear?
Yes, very clear. Thank you.
Okay. What else? Julian, is there anybody else in the class that has registered in the group to talk today?
Can I start with our group?
Sure.
Hello, my name is Gonsu Kim, and in our group there's 3 people. Hyunap Do, Ji-hwan Seo, and Gonsu Kim. That's me. And we have selected the topic, the selection process, and there we want to focus on to find out about how the unique Hyundai Motors HRM strategy affects on its business output, and compare HRM strategy with other companies to see whether the strategy really brings huge different outcomes in global scale. So we are thinking to come up with first about the series of selection processes, and then later we want to discuss the real case about the Hyundai Motors HRM strategy, and like how they come up with the process, HRM process, like how they select the applicant. And yeah, those are our topics that we are thinking, and our members are good at for Hyunapdo is good at computer programming, and also good at making presentation. And Ji-hwan owned his own YouTube channel, so which means he's good at reading the trends and know how to expose the materials to the world. And I have a good interpersonal skills, and I believe, and I think I'm a good leader. Yeah.
Good. Thank you for that. I didn't hear about your weekly topics. Can you?
The selection process, the topic 3.
Topic 3.
Yeah.
So your material should be submitted to us now in order to start talking about some of these details. Make sure you follow up with Julian, follow up with Ali, follow up with me to make sure your
Actually,
material.
I submitted the link of article yesterday through the Ali, but I'm not sure whether she put it on the Excel file or not. So I will send it again once again.
Great. Just follow up with us afterwards to make sure everything's okay, including the materials and your quizzes that you will be presenting. That sounds great. Thank you very much. I have recorded several notes from each of you, and I'm sure the other people have also. Hopefully the rest of the class now sees how people are going to be presenting your information. Anybody else ready to present before the class is completely finished? Class time is basically finished net, but we can maybe take one more person. Anybody have a hand up? Anybody else ready to present? Julian and Ali, is there anybody else in the list for today?
Well, maybe not. Maybe next time. So for the next class, we kindly invite everybody to make their choice. So I have some comment. I have sent an email yesterday to everybody. My idea was that you don't have to think too much, and you have to pick some research team and just present it. And my idea, my approach was that you'll get more information and you'll get in detail by researching. So from my perspective, it is not that much important at this moment what is the research team, but it will be important your research process in the next weeks. Of course, this is an approach. Maybe some other people, maybe they have the approach of being very careful in the beginning in choosing the theme, in choosing the subject. But from my perspective, maybe it's a good idea to decide now in order to have time to work later. And moreover, it's a good idea to be in time, to be making this decision in the due time. Okay, so for the next class, just pick some research team, come with some document, some paper, present it, and you will work afterwards on that one.
Okay, great. I can go ahead and wrap up some of these details. I just wanted to remind people, hopefully you guys can see the Excel file that the class shares. There's good things and bad things about it. The bad things is that the rapid use of people using online details with Google and coronavirus is slowing down, and some files are getting overwritten. But you can see here that in week 3, I have started to record comments from Minsu Kim's group, and Kyunggon Jung, I've written down what you have presented and your details. Same thing with Gunsu Kim. I didn't write down the teammates, but we have that record in other places in the Excel file. I'd also like to remind every student that the more you do in class, the better results you will get in class, not only with points. Gunsu Kim, I'm talking specifically to you right now, and the people with Samsung. I have taught these classes before several times, and many students have written papers almost identical to what you're talking about in the past. It would be efficient and wise for you to go through the old students' files and maybe build on some of those old presentations and articles. So if you go back, you can see how I've made notes here. You can see in our class files, oops, where's the other thing? In the Excel folder, it's you can reload it, but there are many student files from presenting before you can use. Not just for our weekly topics today, but next week and next class, we will be talking more about recruiting people and chapter 6. So go through the material we have provided for the week, each week, go through that material in advance, and go through the old material from last year, from 10 years ago, old students. Find what old students have produced and grow from that. Leverage that. Make your material better. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I believe class time is done. I will stick around as always and answer some questions. If anybody has any questions, I think it would be a good idea for me to go through and show you how in the Excel file here, at the very back of the Excel file, in the FAQ, at the bottom of the FAQ, there are links to access the journals. So I've given links to the Samsung research projects, but as you can see here on the screen, how to find the Scopus reliable journal articles. Here is a website that shows you all reliable magazines, all reliable journals. If you go through there, Academy Management Perspective is a very good, popular magazine many students use. Journal of International Business Studies is good. Asia Pacific Journal of Management is really good. So if you click on this, you can see those journals and the articles. Harvard Business Review, a lot of students love this, but make sure you understand the Harvard Business Review and Fortune, these are famous because they're popular, not because they're good. These articles, these journals, many people say, experts say, are terrible because they are saying anything without proof. A lot of these articles in Harvard Business Review and Fortune do not show references. And as we've discovered with Marissa's references today, it's great to show the reference so that you promote other people and other people can promote you. But it's also great to use references so people can check facts. Are they new facts or are they old facts? And it's also good, you have to learn to use references, and Harvard does not, Fortune does not use references. You have to use them so you're not going to be attacked. So these other links are good. There's many different articles you can view. Hopefully that clarifies details. And these links here, using the websites through the university. Again, Keiming University, Sunsando Dosoguan, the library will allow you to search for specific journals. You can also click on, you just want Web of Science or you just want Scopus journals. That would be good. I'm finished. Any other questions or comments? No hands up? Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Professor.